Hello, welcome back. In the last session, we learned about radials. So today we learn about radial interception. So it is the basic of instrument flying. If you know how to intercept another radial from one constant radial, then it will be very easy for you to follow all the profiles and very easy to use the method in the aircraft to understand each and every profile of instrument flying. So this is the backbone of instrument flying. Again, I'll be just teaching you the basic and the most easy way to do that without using any mathematics. As I told you before, we are not a mathematician, we are a pilot. So what is radial interception? For example, if this is a radial, keeping north as up, this is radial 090, and I can maintain this radial either by going outbound or coming inbound to the station. So either I can fly this heading or fly this heading to come back to the station. So this is a radial, and to maintain a steady radial, for example, in this case, I am going outbound on this radial, proceeding outbound on radial 090. So keep this radial centered, or keep the CDI, which is known as course deviation indicator, centered. I can fly only two headings, which is 090 proceeding outbound and 270, which is opposite of that, proceeding inbound. Right? I can maintain this radial by maintaining only two headings. So if I am flying this heading and maintaining this radial, so my HSI will look something like this. My heading will show 090, this will be 270, this will be 360, this will be 180. So if I select my course as 090, my course indicator will look something like this, 090, with the D bar or the deviation bar centered. Now this is known as course deviation indicator or CDI. So as it is just suggesting us that this is a course deviation indicator, that means it is telling how much deviated from my selected course I am flying right now. So since the needle is in center, that means I am on the right course which I selected as 090. So now the next thing which I want you to know is RMI. RMI is radio magnetic indicator. So RMI is basically a cyan colored line. Cyan is basically light blue line which points to the station. It helps me tell where the station is. For example, in this case, the station is behind me. So RMI will look something like this. It will be overlapping the course deviation indicator since I'm maintaining the same radius. For example, in a case where I am somewhere here, my RMI will point, the station is again behind me, but since I've selected 090 and this will be heading approximately 045, the CDI will show something like this. So now in this picture, the HSI will look something like this, in which it is telling I am flying heading of 045. My station is right behind me since RMI is showing 6 o'clock. So my heading to follow to proceed to station will be 225. And since I have selected my course as 090, so 090 is somewhere here, and it is telling me that I am left of the course. So this bar is telling me how much deviated I am. That means I need to turn right so that this bar comes to center and I technically reach at 090. RMI is a very important needle. Why? For example, this is a station. I am proceeding somewhere here. So my heading to follow to the station will be somewhere here. So in this case, if I see my HSI, it will show, keeping again north up, my heading is 360. My HSI will look something like this. And my RMI will show arrow 3 o'clock. So my RMI head is telling me the bearing or the heading, correction, the heading to be flown to reach this station. So this is known as QDM, which we discussed last time. Similarly, the tail of the RMI is telling me what radial I am on. It is known as QDR. Before moving further, I'll just tell you a basic concept. That is, for example, if I'm on a radial of 090 proceeding outbound and I turn right. So if I'm going outbound and I'm turning right, my radial will increase, as you see. Similarly, my heading will also increase. If I turn left, my radial will decrease and my heading will increase. But in a case in which I am coming inbound to the station and I turn right, my radial decreases but my heading is still increasing. And if I turn left, proceeding inbound, my radial increases and my heading decreases. Only this is a concept that you need to remember, which will help you in further judging how to intercept a radial, and it will help you very easily to judge that. Moving ahead, radial interception is of four types. Number one, outbound to outbound. That is, if I'm going outbound from a station and I have to intercept another radial which is going outbound only in the same direction. The next is inbound to inbound. I'm coming inbound to a station, I have to intercept a radial inbound towards the station itself. Third, outbound to inbound. If I'm going outbound from a station and I have to come inbound to intercept another radial towards the station. Similarly, inbound to outbound. If I'm going inbound to a station and I have to turn somewhere to proceed outbound from the station. First case, outbound to outbound. Let's say I'm on a radial of 090 proceeding outbound. My HSI will look something like this, in which my heading is 090. My course deviation indicator will look centered as I am on the steady radial. I'm not drawing RMI in this reference so that it is not confusing. Now, if I want to proceed on a radial of 120, I'll just put my course and select it to 120. So if I select my course to 120, 120 somewhere here, it will look something like this. With my course deviation indicator moving to the right as I am left of the desired course. So now to intercept and to find the heading to fly to reach this radial, there are many techniques, including using mathematics in the same, that if we are closer to the station, the sensitivity will increase. I have to turn with intercept angle of 30 degrees. If I'm farther away, can be 45 degrees, can be 90 degrees as well. But I'm just teaching you the basics so that you are able to capture, and it is very easy to understand how to intercept a radial. So for that, the method is tapping the needle. So whichever way the course deviation indicator is going, just find a heading above on the top of it. I just want you to turn right to fly this heading. So you have to see the heading towards the head of the CDI and fly this heading. So if this is 120, this heading will be around 150. So turn right to fly heading 150. 150 radial is somewhere here. So if you fly heading parallel to it, which is 150, you will reach 120. As soon as you are approaching this radial, the CDI will come closer to the center. As soon as it is reaching center, turn left to fly 120, because I just briefed you that you have to fly only two headings to maintain a steady radial. That can be either inbound or proceeding outbound. So if in this case we are going outbound, so we'll fly heading 120 as soon as the needle comes center, and we'll be able to intercept this radial. So this is outbound to outbound interception. Okay, so now we learn interception from inbound to inbound. For example, if I'm coming inbound on a radial of 060, my HSI will look something like this. And the D bar centered. So I'm moving inward on radial of 060 And if you notice, I set my course as 240. Why? Because whenever I'm coming inbound, I want my course to be in the same plane in which my heading is, so that we do not reverse sense. I'll teach you what is reverse sensing in the next chapter. So if I'm going inbound on 060 radial, this is what my HSI will look like, and I have to insert my radial 090. So if I want to insert my radial 090, I have to set opposite of the radial in my course, but to maintain and to be reducing the calculation in the cockpit, instead of setting your head as 090, you can set your tail as 090. So 090 will be somewhere here. So I'll just rotate the course knob till my tail reaches here. If my tail is at 090, that means my head is already set opposite to that, which is 270. And my D bar will show somewhere here. That means my D bar is telling me to turn left to reach this heading. So if I see, and which I told you the method of capping the needle, if I see the heading above my D bar, I'll just follow that towards the head side. So this heading will be around 230. So from here, I'll turn left to heading 230 till I reach the desired radial of 090. And as soon as I'm reaching here, my D bar will come gently to the center, and as it reaches center, I'll follow heading of 270 to intercept this radial. So this is inbound to inbound interception. Okay, next up is the third type of radial interception, which is outbound to inbound. For example, I'm going outbound on a radial of 090. My D bar looks something like this, which is centered since I'm maintaining the same radial. Now I want to intercept my radial 130, but inbound. I have to go inbound. So I have to flash something like this so that I'm able to intercept that. So what I need to do is, first of all, I'll set my tail of the CDI at 130. 130 will be somewhere around here. So I'll set my tail here, so my head is already opposite to that. Now my deviation bar will look something like this. So as I told you, I have to just see the top of my CDI towards the head side. So this will be somewhere here around 250. So I'll turn right to fly 250. If this is 270, this will be 250. So I'll fly somewhere here like this, heading 250 till I intercept needle 130 inbound. And as soon as the needle gets centered, I'll turn right on a heading of 310 so that I intercept this radial inbound. Last case, we are coming inbound on a radial and we have to intercept the radial outbound. In that case, for example, if I'm coming inbound on a radial of 090 and I have to intercept radial 130 outbound. So I have to do something like this to proceed outbound. So the HSI will show something like this, in which my heading is 270. This will be 360 and this will be 180. If I'm maintaining radial 090 proceeding inbound, my HSI will show something like this. But now I have to intercept radial 130 outbound. So I put my course as 130. 130 will be somewhere here. And my deviation bar will look something like this. So towards the head of the deviation bar, if I cap this needle, the heading will be somewhere here around 150. So I'll turn left to reach this heading because this is the closest way to reach this heading instead of going right. So I'll turn left to reach fly heading 150, and as I intercept heading 150, I'll move towards it, continuing forward. This CDI will come center. As soon as it comes center, I'll fly heading of 130 to maintain a steady radial of 130 outbound. So this is about radial interception. We'll cover the next topic in the next class. Thank you.